Well, hello everyone. Good afternoon. Hopefully, you're all having a wonderful Thursday afternoon. This month for July, our topic is focused on tracking resource cost usage for an event. As always, our free monthly training calls are recorded and will be posted on our Salamander Tube channel. So if you are interested in viewing this later, you can reference that on our YouTube channel. So just jumping right into this, in Salamander Live, you're going to find that there's a variety of cost reports that are available. Now, these cost reports, they use the rates captured in the resource record or account settings and the resource tracking data that's collected through the accountability applications such as the Track app, RapidTag, the Inventory app, Salamander Live, and or Command to calculate the cost. So depending on what you have that you're using for tracking, that data is sent up to Salamander Live, and it's going to be using the account rate or individual rates to calculate these cost reports. So how and where do the cost reports get its data? So cost starts calculating the moment a resource is checked into an event and stops when the resource is placed in the off-scene assignment. When I say resource, I'm talking about people, equipment, it can be inventory, collections, okay? Now, cost is calculated using the standard rate that is set on the resource record first. Okay, so that's what it's looking at first. If there is not one on the record, it's going to look at the account rate. Okay, so the account rate, this is going to be set up by the administrator. If no standard rate or account rate is available, then it's going to show $0 for that resource. That's what you're going to see in here for the rate is going to be $0, and then the total is going to be $0 on here. Okay, so we'll take a look at that. So how do you set up individual resource rates? So every type of record has a specific field or fields that is used to capture rate information. So on the people side in Salamander Live, you're going to see that there's 4 different fields you can capture this information. You're going to see a standby rate, standard rate, standby rate, overtime rate, and other rate. On the equipment side, you can see a rate. So we're looking at FEMA reimbursable rate information. For calculations for costs, or I'm sorry, for collections, you're going to see 2 different types. You're going to see a cost per hour sum and cost per day sum. We'll break this up and tell you exactly what all that means. And in RapidTag, you're going to see a mutual aid volunteer rate. And this is for RapidTag version 5. So I'll walk through that as well. So I'm just going to pull up Salamander Live here. Okay, so here's Salamander Live. I'll make sure this is nice and large so you can see this in your end. So let's first take a look at the people rate. Okay, so I'm just going to take a look at a personal record. So as you know, rates can be, especially when it comes to people and equipment, they can be entered in manually or they can be imported in. So we're just going to take a look at an individual. So if you take a look in their profile, if you click on the edit pencil icon, it's going to be under the employment section. So there's multiple tabs at the top there. You go to employment, and under employment, if you scroll down, this is where you're going to see the rate information. So this is where you'll see it's blue. This is the standard rate. So this is what's going to be used on most reports. You do have the option of entering in a standby rate, overtime rate, and other rate. Just know that the standard rate is used in all the reports. There are specific reports you can pull for standby, overtime, other rate. Just know that there's no logic built into that. So it doesn't know what you mean by overtime. So if you put an overtime rate of, let's say, $35 in this case, it's going to take $35, multiply it by the entire time that person was there, and that's what you're going to have on that overtime rate report. Okay. So there's going to be some math and calculations that your finance team will have to do to figure out what is what do you define as overtime. Same thing with other rate and standby rate. Okay, so that's where you can do that information. In the import, you'll see that the import file has 4 different fields you can capture the information on. The other way that you can enter in data in here is by using the edit multiple. So if you have people in here that you know have the same individual rates, you can select multiple of them at one time. Let me just pull this up to 100 people here, just so you can see what this looks like. So again, you could just click the check boxes. You can do your filtering by the organization. You could do filtering by title. Usually it's by title that you'll find that those individuals have a similar rate. I'm just select a couple of them so you can see here. So I selected these 3 records, and when I do that, there is a edit multiple icon that appears at the very top. So this is just a quick way for you to enter in one rate for these 3 records. Click on edit multiple. This is going to populate through. And what you do is you're going to scroll down and you're going to see the rate columns right there, or rate fields right there. And all you're going to do is enter in their new rates, whatever that is. So if they don't have a rate, it's going to enter that in. If they already have a rate, what you're entering here is going to override what's existing in the record. So in this case, I'm just going to put $30 in there. Again, you can fill in all this if you'd like to. Okay, whatever that rate is. And once you're done entering that in, just simply click update. Once you click update, it's going to update those records you've selected. Okay. So if I were to go in here, if you want to quickly and see that these updates were made, what you could do is go in here and enter in. Oops, I just removed it. I can go in here and I can add in those fields to take a look at. So what I'm looking for in this case is the standard rate, overtime rate, other rate. Okay, so you can enter all that in here if you like to, so you have that option to view that information. Okay, so I'm just gonna put the standard rate in here so you can see in here what that looks like. I'm gonna tip done, and then there it is. Okay, so you can see all the rates in here. So you'll see that the rates in here was changed over for the individuals I updated. So I have this column called last updated. I like using this one because this one here I can filter or sort by newest to oldest. So any records that you last updated will appear here. So I like this one. So in this case, you'll see that these are the last 3 records I updated today at 1:06 p.m. And you'll see that the standard rate was changed to $30 based off of that edit I just did. Okay. So that is on a personnel record. Very easy to do for that information. We're going to move over to the equipment side if nobody has any questions on here. Again, if you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. You can also use the chat function to send me a message as well too. I'll make sure to check that on my other screen. For equipment works a little bit different. So in this case, let's go ahead and take a look at a piece of equipment. So on the equipment side, if you go into the equipment record, go ahead and click the edit pencil icon, you'll see that the cost information is going to be on the purchasing tab. So it's that 3rd tab called purchasing. In here, we're not looking at the cost here. So this is cost for replacement cost for this piece of equipment. What we're looking at is down here is the rate. Okay. So rate is what's going to be used here for all the cost reports in this case. There is cost reports that will show this replacement cost. It's more related on the asset management side of things, but this one here will appear on your equipment cost report. So in this case, most departments, entities are going to be entering in rates only if they are reimbursable by FEMA. So we have a link right here. You'll see it's FEMA link. You can click on that, and that's going to take you to FEMA schedule of equipment rates. So this is their most updated rate from 2023. It's going to show you all the equipment in here that is reimbursable by FEMA. Has a cost code. You'll see there is the rates and the unit. Okay, so whatever it is that you're looking at, if it's something that's reimbursable, all you're going to do is just take that information, making sure it meets those criterias right here. For example, specifications, capacity, etc. You're going to take that information and you're just going to simply enter it in here. So the cost code, the FEMA rate, and then the unit. So you're going to see here, our list has a lot of units in here. You're going to see a bunch of them, but just, and we have it in red here, is that hour and day are the only ones that will report on. Okay, so even if you select pounds, it's not going you're not going to have a cost report that's going to show rate per pound. Okay, so it's just hour and day. So that's all you have for selecting for units. Okay, so all you do is going to put in that rate in there. So this is a aerial apparatus. There's a specific code for that. I don't know what that code is by heart. I'd have to look that up. But if that rate, let's say that was $54.25, you could put that in there. And what is that unit? So, they're reimbursing $54.25 per hour. Okay, so as this piece of equipment is deployed, and the moment it's checked in, that's when this rate starts calculating on your equipment cost reports. So that's where the rate is for equipment. Any questions on that? Go ahead and click save. Again, as you start saving some of these, you'll see it listed on here. It's the same thing if you're looking at multi-edits, just know that it's exactly the same process as on the people side. So if you know you have a bunch of them in here, like for example, oops, I've got these ambulances in this case, and if they have a reimbursement cost code and rate, I can go into the edit multiple right here and enter that in as well. Okay, so here it is. You have the rate, cost code, and unit that you can enter that in, and then simply click update when you're done. And again, these fields are also available on the import. So the import is going to be available under import side. You'll see people and equipment, and that's where you're going to go in and just click on the CSV template. So that is on the equipment side. Any questions on equipment for cost? Okay. If there's none, let's go ahead and take a look at the collection side. So on the collection side, there's actually two separate rates on here, and it's going to be pulling in from your people and equipment database. So as you know, if you used Salamander before, you know that in Salamander Live to create a collection, you first, and if you're looking at adding resources in there, you first must have your people and equipment database built out. Now, can you create a shell of a collection? Absolutely, you can. I think this is my shell collection, possibly. Oh no, it's not anymore. So a shell collection is basically where you have a collection. So again, a collection in our terms is a group or team or crew of people or equipment. Okay, that's going to be checked in and tracked as a single resource. That's what we define as a collection. So in this case, your collection can contain people. In this case, if this is a static collection or group that you already know who are going to be the members of that team, you can add them beforehand. If you do not know who they are, you can create a shell of a collection. The shell of collection, in this case, I can just go in here and create one. Okay, so I'm going to create a boat. So you got Jenny, Jerry, Henry. I'm just going to do boat Alicia. Okay, so that's my boat. Boat Alicia. Oops, if I can spell. And then the organization that they're with is selected from the drop down. The NIMS type you do that is required, even though if there's none on there, you can just put none. You can put destination and type from the drop down and click save. So this here, I can create a collection and I don't have to add any resources in this case. Okay. So the resources in this case can be built on the fly using any of our accountability applications, such as RapidTag, the track app. You can even do this from Command and or Salamander Live. So it just really depends on what accountability applications you have. So in this case, you'll always see that the cost per sum, day and hour are going to be $0 because you don't have any resources in here. But as you start adding in resources, you'll see that the sum is going to go up. So it depends on what you're adding down here for resources. So in this case, if I'm adding resources in here, I'm going to just add in a bunch of people in here. I'm just going to add in these individuals. Let me see. I'm going to add Josh Adams. Okay. If I add in some individuals in this case, you're going to see that those individuals have a rate next to them, right? So this is how you can tell if it's using the individual rate or an account rate. I know we haven't talked about how to set up an account rate yet, but I will show you that next. So the individual rate, how you can tell if it's an account rate versus individual is by the unit. So you'll see here it's $39 hourly. You know that that is the rate that was captured in his personnel record. So I'm put in there $39 hourly. If you look at the second one, you'll see that it has hourly and then has a parentheses A. What that's telling you is that this person does not have an individual rate captured in his profile. And what it's using is the account rate. That's what that A is standing for, is account rate. The account rate was set up by an account administrator. So it's using that as the default. So anybody that doesn't have an individual rate is going to automatically put in here. And it looks like the account rate was set up was $20. It's going to start calculating $20 per hour for each person that doesn't have an individual rate. So that's what you're seeing there. And you'll see that it's going to sum it at the top here. So it's looking at hourly. So again, it's looking at the hourly. So it's summing that up into this cost per hour sum. So 39 plus 20 equals 59. You'll see that cost there. For cost per day sum, you will only see that on the equipment side because equipment is the only rate that you can enter in an hourly or a daily rate. So I'm just going to add some equipment in here. You'll see that the total is going to go up from here. Okay, so all you're going to do is go in here. I can't remember which one of these have a rate. So add that one, that one. Again, I know I'm supposed to have a boat in here, but since this is a boat. So you'll see in here, these actually have rates. So $81.40 per hour, $146.43. These are actual individual rates. If I didn't have an individual rate for this, it would show hourly A. I'm going to add one of these, which I know that does not have a rate. One of these. Hopefully this one doesn't have, yeah, right here. So you see PBJ, you'll see in there hourly A. So that was set up for $20 as well. So you'll see that nobody has so far a daily rate, so that's why it's not populating here. So it's calculating all the hourlies, adding into cost per hour sum. So if this collection was checked into an event, it's going to start calculating $306.83 per hour for this collection. Now, on the individual people report and equipment reports, it's going to use these individuals to calculate their regular rates. Okay, so this is just showing you for this entire collection, it's going to cost you $306.83 per hour for this collection to be part of your event. Any questions so far on setting up individual rates? Okay, the last one to set up individual rates, this is more on the rapid tag side for mutual aid volunteer. Check-in. So I've got rapid tag up on here. So rapid tag version 5. So you got to have version 5 of rapid tag in order to see this new field. If you have version 4, you're not going to see this. Okay, so this is a feature of rapid tag version 5. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this record right here, just Larry David right here. Click on edit. You'll see that there's a rate field. Even if you did a new one, I'll just go ahead and click new. Again, this is made to scan IDs, so driver's licenses, state IDs, and a whole slew list of other types of IDs that you can scan in. So you scan in that ID, you're going to see this field, all these fields that you can enter in for that individual. Okay, so if you scan an ID, it should populate their first name, last name, possibly their driver's license number if that's what you scanned in, their expiration date, and possibly their address information if that's stored in that ID. But what we're really looking at is this rate field right here. So this rate field, if you enter in a rate for this, so if this is a mutual aid partner that you have not entered into Salamander Live and you're going to just scan them through Rapid Tag, you have the option of putting a rate in here. So for example, if I put $32 and this person, their name is, oops, if I can spell, Gregory Mickles. Okay. So here's Gregory Mickles. He's checking in. He is with Wherever Cert. Again, you can select from your list over here, or you can click New. I'm going to leave him at Wherever Cert. So he is a CERT volunteer. I can put in the rate in this case. That's going to calculate him. I don't remember what the volunteer rates are. I think it's like $27 or something like that. But again, you guys can look that up. But I'm just going to put a rate in here for $32. So if I put a rate in here for $32, it is going to start calculating his time the moment I click finish when he's checked in at $32 an hour. Okay. If I leave this blank, it's going to start calculating him at $20 an hour because it's going to use the account default rate. So again, it's looking at this rate or the account rate. If Again, if I don't have an account rate nor a rate in here, it's going to calculate $0. Okay, so that's just how it works. So I'm just going to put in here $32, click finish. Now this person is checked in. So time right now, 1:20. Checked him in, and it's going to start calculating him at $32 an hour. Okay, so that is the individual rates for Rapid Any questions on setting that up for Rapid Okay. Last but not least is the account rate. So let's take a look at the account rate. So if individual rates are unknown or a default rate is preferred where maybe the department doesn't want to share their rates, you have a finance department or another internal system you're tracking that in, not an issue. What you can do if you still want something to populate on these cost reports, the account administrators can go in and set up a default hourly rate. They can do this for both people and equipment, and this will impact the entire Salamander Live account. Okay, so once they do this, even if it's a sub-organization that is 6 levels down, if their people don't have any individual rates entered in on their records, it's going to use the default rates that's been set up by the account administrator in the cost reports. Okay. Now, as a reminder, the default rate is only used for calculations if the resource does not have an individual rate saved in their profile. So I'm going to show you how to set this up. It's really easy to do so. The only thing you have to be is an account administrator. So when I say account administrator, I'm meaning that you have to be at the very top. You can be an administrator, but you have to be an administrator at the parent level. So I'm going to show you this real quick for organization. So how do you know if you're an account administrator at the top is when you go to the organization, you'll always see Salamander Technologies right there. Okay, you'll always see that. And then you're going to see your account name. That's how you know when you see that you have a plus button right there is that you are an account administrator. And plus you have all these additional functions over here. You see settings down here. If you're not an account administrator, you don't even see the settings option. Okay. In this case, if for other administrators like sub account administrators, they would be clicking the plus button. They wouldn't even see this, and they would see another organization underneath here. So if let's say they were Abracadabra County Emergency Management, that's what they would only see. Okay, and that's what they can click on. Okay, so that's the difference. So in here, as an account administrator, how you set this up is you go to your left menu, click on Settings. Under Settings, you're going to see Account. Click on Account. Once you click on Account, there's other settings that you can actually go in and edit. So for example, default image size, auto generate IDs. You can turn all of that on or off for the entire account. And then in the third section on here is default rates. This is where you can go in and set this up. So all you do is go in and click on the edit pencil icon and simply enter in that information. Simple as that. So I just set $20 for each. So this is hourly, okay? So hourly for people and hourly for equipment. So we're looking at fixed equipment. So nothing when it comes to consumable items is going to populate in here as $20 an hour. So again, only non-consumable equipment will use this hourly rate. If you have equipment that has a daily rate, recommend you go in and enter that daily rate in that individual record. Okay. Once you enter in that information, simply click Save, and this is now going to be forced upon every single organization within your account. Okay. Any questions on setting up the account default rate? Any questions? All right, so let's take a look at the event reports when we're looking at cost. Okay, so all the cost reports you're going to see in here are going to be obviously on the event side. Because again, cost calculations don't happen until that check-in process starts. So whether you're using the Track app to check people in, Rapid Tag, again, Salamander Live, you can pick whatever application you're looking at using. So I just created this quick one called Summerfest. I created it earlier today, and I used Rapid Tag to create that. But I also joined it in with my track app. Okay. So all we're going to do is we're going to go into that event. Once you go into that event, the first thing I want to show you is this burn down tile. Okay. So as this is pulling up, there's a burn down tile in here that you're able to go in there and see some of that data. Okay. So burn down tile is a cost related tile that's available on the event dashboard. Doesn't matter if you have just a basic Salamander Live account, you will get the burn down. Okay, so you don't have to have Events Pro. Now the difference between just a standard Salamander Live events package and the Events Pro package is all the additional tiles and functions that you get with Events Pro. Okay. So I always get that. I always get phone calls about that. Like, I don't see Events Pro. Well, Events Pro is in the event. So everybody gets events. When you go into the event to get in the dashboard is where you're going to see the differences between Events Standard and Events Pro. Okay. So everybody, doesn't matter who you are, if you have access to events, you'll be able to see burn down tile. So the burn down tile, you're going to see there's a couple different columns in here. Burn hourly estimate. So this is looking at the hourly estimates for people and equipment. Okay, so the hourly rate, and it's going to show you everybody that's checked in only. Okay, so checked in. If they're checked out, their hourly rate is not being added into this burn hourly estimate. Okay. So for people right now, $116.38. For equipment, $30.82. Okay. If there's a daily, you'll see there's a daily in here for $525. Okay. And then what you're going to see over here is the total. So it's multiplying their check-in time with their hourly rate. So if they're in there for 5 minutes, it's going to use the calculations to say how much is it costing for that person to be in the event for that 5 minutes. Okay. And that's what you get for the total estimate costs. This here you'll see very similar in the event cost report. There over here at the very top right, you'll see there's a report icon. You'll see there's anything that's related to a cost report. You'll see it says cost on there. So you'll see event summary cost. You'll see people activity cost and equipment activity cost. Okay. So those are the three reports that have cost information, and there's all different types of reports. Okay, you got a CSV, PDF, and Excel. The only one that you don't have the only one that you have a CSV for is going to be the people activity cost. The event summary cost and equipment activity cost only comes in Excel or PDF. I personally like looking at the Excel because in that way you can filter, sort. Again, you have your options. So let's take a look at that event summary cost report. All you're going to do is going to look at that. You have your options. You can look at standard, standby, overtime, and other. So again, these are related to people. Even though this report has both equipment and people, the standard rate is going to look at standard rate for people. That's what it's asking you. Okay, I'm going to run the report. You can take a look at what this report looks like. So give it a second for that report to pull up. While that's pulling up, I'm going to go in. Oops. I'm going to go in and look at the other one. So I have a people activity cost report. You can click on that report. So there it is. Here's the event summary cost. Let me just go ahead and do the people cost report. Now you have a CSV version or Excel. Personally, I like looking at the CSV version. It's not pretty compared to the Excel version or PDF version, but that's the version I like looking at. So here's the Excel version. You'll see that's very pretty. It's in a nice format. Okay. So you'll see right here, you'll see the number of personnel. So in this case, it's looking at total personnel for each organization. So the event summary cost report does it by organization. So if that's important for you, this is the report to look at. So it's saying that Alpha Fire Department has 2 responders in there, okay? And so far for the 2 responders, total time for the 2 responders, okay? You'll see an hour and 13 minutes and 46 seconds. So far $41.19 total. If you're wanting a breakdown, you'll have to go into the personnel activity cost report for a breakdown for who those 2 personnels are and what is their hourly rates. Okay, this is just giving you a summary. And you'll see at the bottom down here, is what you'll see for total. So you'll see number of organizations, number of personnel, okay, and then total, and then you'll see the total count down the bottom here. So this is the total I was telling you that might be a little bit different than what you're seeing on that burn down tile. You're probably gonna be off by some pennies. The next report, let's take a look at, is the people activity cost summary. Okay, so that's the CSV version. And pull that one up. So again, this one is not as pretty. So if you pulled up the CSV or the Excel version or PDF version, it will be in that same pretty format like you saw earlier with the event summary cost report. For me personally, I like looking at this one here, even though it's not as pretty. But you'll see, you can scroll down and you'll see like each individual. You'll see who they're with for collection wise, their assignment, you got their in and out. Okay. So they're all checked in so far. You'll see their out time is the current time I pulled the report, which is 13:28. Okay. So we're just looking at um, 1 o'clock. So like 1:28 is when I pull this. So this is showing that this person's been in there for 37 minutes, and then this is the rate. So it's looking at the rate. If there's any other rate, so in this case, it's looking at, I pulled the standard rate. That's why it's telling me it's $35 over here. So if I had a standby rate, overtime rate, and etc., if I pull the overtime rate, this one here would show 0 over here because if there's no overtime rate, this would show 56. Okay, so I just pulled a standard rate. So it's telling you the total, and you got the subtotal and the organization total. So this is the report I like looking, but again, you have your options. If you like a PDF version, the PDF version is a lot prettier. Same thing like the Excel version. So I'll pull the PDF version here so you can see this. Okay, so here it is. A lot prettier. Make sure it's nice and large. Okay. So you'll see the total time on here at the bottom. So I'll say that's where I'm saying it's a lot prettier because it kind of organizes things a little bit better than that CSV file. You got your total, okay, and then you'll have your whole total for all your personnel. Last but not least is the equipment. So the equipment activity cost report. I'm going to pull this one up. I'm going to pull up the the Excel version. Here's the Excel version. So not much data in this one here. So here, drone response team. Looks like I've got $525 per day, okay, for that team. Okay, and then you'll see in here I've got one piece of equipment, okay, $55 an hour. So looking at the total, it's doing the calculations. So nice and simple. And right here, and I forgot to mention, is where it's telling you if it's a standard rate or the account rate. I forgot to mention that. So let me pull up this one over here. So you see here, standard rate, event rate. Event rate in this case, that means it's rapid tag. Okay, so these are the individuals I checked in through rapid tag. So Larry David was a rapid tag and I entered in $32. So I'll just highlight that. So this is rapid tag, so that's why it says event rate. So that's what I entered in rapid tag was $32, and that's what's telling you that it's the event rate. Standard rate, the individual rate that was entered in their personnel profile. And then if you have a account rate, it would say account rate in here. Okay. And so far, nobody has an account rate. Because if we did, we would see $20 across the board here. And it would say account rate. Any questions on the 3 cost reports that we just covered when we're looking at cost usage tracking? And how to set up the individual rates for all the different types of resources. Questions? All right. So one more thing I'm going to reiterate before we finish this is how do you get the clock to stop? Okay, so it's very important. There is one assignment in here that stops the clock, and that is the off-scene assignment. So if we're looking at it from a chart perspective, there's that off-scene assignment. So if you want accurate cost tracking, make sure that the moment these people are off, you are done with their shift, they're leaving for the day, they get moved to this off-scene assignment. Okay, again, that can be done through Rapid Tag, the track app. It can be done through Salamander Live. Either way, once you get moved to this off-scene assignment, that's when the clock stops. It's no longer running. So that's very important to you to have accurate times. Make sure that everybody that's been checked in gets moved into the off scene. Okay. They can be moved, reassigned from boats to gate security to med unit, but at the end of the day, all of those are calculating costs and it's just showing you their activity. But once they're done, move them to off scene, and that's where you will get an accurate cost report. Okay. Questions on that? And I apologize. One more thing, if there's no questions on the off-scene assignment. The other one is the roster. Why I'm bringing up the roster, this is for those that have Events Pro. I know this is one of the main reasons why we've got departments and entities out there subscribing to the Events Pro is, obviously it's for the chart function where you can drag and drop and create a chart and add assignments and check people in right from this chart function. But the other one is this roster. This roster serves another purpose, which is editing timestamps. So it's where you can go in and add a manual log to fix either a missed timestamp or to edit a timestamp. Okay, so this is the only um, feature in here that allows you to do that. So if you're looking at the report, so let's say you're looking at this cost report and you're noticing that someone has or they tell you that they actually checked in not at 12:47, but they actually checked in earlier, you can go and fix that for them. Okay, so this quick and easy way for you to fix that. So this right here, this roster tile, you do have to have administrative access. Okay, you must have administrative access. So once you have administrative access, you can go in here and you can fix that. So in this case, if we're looking at, again, you can do people, equipment, or collections. If you're doing a collection, you're just doing the single collection. You're not doing everybody that's within that collection. It's just saying this collection, Boat Jenny, didn't start at 12:51. Maybe it started at 12:30. Okay, so you can go in and fix that to start at 12:30. But if you want the individual peoples that are in that collection, you have to go under the people side. And it'll tell you right there who is in that collection. Okay. So in this
How do you
case,
move to off scene?
oh, how do you move to off scene? You got a couple of different ways to do so. So we'll come back to do, oh, I'll come back to show you how to move to off scene a little bit here. That's a great question. I just want to quickly show this right here first for how to edit. So there's a couple ways you can do so. So this editing, let's say we need to move this person. Their check-in time isn't actually 1:20. They were actually here earlier, but they forgot to check in for some reason. So I can go in here and fix this timestamp. I can click the plus button up here. So again, this is the plus button at the top, and I can go in and add a manual log. So today's date. Okay, so let's say he was there at 12:45 and he wants to get paid for his full time that's there, even though in what's recorded is 1:20. So I can go in here, can change his time. He was in, oh, I forgot what is time checked in. Okay, apologize. So checked in 45 p.m. and he's in a checked in assignment. I understand. Okay, or 12:47 is when this event started. So I'm going to put him checked in at 12:47. So this is a past time, so it's not going to show up on here, but it's going to add a manual log entry for 12:47 p.m. So he gets paid for the entire time that he's there. So that's what I'm doing. I made an edit. It's going to refresh and you'll see that it doesn't show up on here, but if I pull the report again, it's going to show he has a timestamp edit for 12:47 and he'll get paid for the entire time. So if I go and pull this cost report again, I'm just going to pull the PDF version. Okay. So if I go scroll down to where he was, should have a 1247. What was his name again? His name is Gregory Michaels. Okay, Gregory Michaels. There he is. Okay, 1247. You see that? So fix his timestamp. So assigned time 52 minutes versus just the 10 minutes that he was in. Do you see that? So that's where the roster tile comes into play, is to fix timestamps. Now this can fix other than just missed timestamps when it comes to accurate timing. If someone, let's say, left on scene, maybe they got sick and they're leaving, but they didn't get a chance to actually check out, you can actually move them off scene from the roster tile as well, so that you can get in the accurate time. Because again, everything that's done through our application is real time. So if I move someone off scene through the track app or through Rapid Tag, it's going to put a timestamp for, right now the time is 1:41, is going to timestamp them in at 1:41 for off scene. But let's say I don't want to pay them for the entire time. They were only there for 10 minutes before they left and went off scene. Well, I don't want to pay them for the entire time. So the best way is you can go in and check them off scene through the track app, but you can go in here and fix it as well, or just leave them here and then fix it in here. So in this case, let's do Josh Arlington. I'm going to click the plus button, add log entry, today's date again. Time out, let's say it's 1:15 is when he left. I'm going to move the off-scene assignment. I understand that I'm making a change. This action can't be undone. Click save, and you'll see that he's now been checked off scene at 1:15 p.m. Okay, so that's one way to do it. If they missed their actual timestamp and you need to back time it, because everything you do within Salamander Live track and stuff is real time. So the other way you can do it, again, there's just so many different ways that you can do this, Alice. You can, if you have Salamander Live, you can go into Salamander Live and move them. So in this case, I'm going to go in here. Again, this is if you have Events Pro. If you do not have Events Pro, you're not going to be able to do this from Salamander Live. So this is another way you can do it. I can right click on this assignment. I can find the person. I can click edit. It's going to pull down the people that's checked in here. I can move Larry David. I can move him by clicking the checkbox next to his name. I can move multiple people if I want to. Click the move. It's going to pull down this drop down, and I can click the off scene assignment and click move. And that option. You see that he's been moved off scene. That's one way to do it. You can do a move all if you want to. So in this case, again, you right click and you can, instead of doing the edit, you can do a move all off scene. So again, that's just with Salamander Live Events Pro feature. Okay, so that's Salamander Live. The other way, you can do it through Rapid Tag. All you do is you scan their ID again, not their driver's license or state ID. When I say scan their ID again, is I'm talking about their Rapid Tag ID or their Salamander ID. So their Salamander credential. If you scan their credential a secondary time, it's going to move them off scene. Okay. You have that option, or you can also go in here and you can edit to move them off scene. Okay. So you got a couple different ways to do this. Okay, I don't have her ID, so I'm going to print this so I can show you this, so that you can scan her a second time. I'm just going to print her off an ID real quick. Oh, I don't have my scanner. I apologize. So I don't have my scanner with me, but if you scan her a second time with that barcode, I'll show you what that barcode looks like. So in this case, here it is. This is what I'm talking about, is you're scanning the barcode. So here's her barcode. So this is a wristband. Usually that's what's being used through Rapid Tag, is a wristband. Now, some of you may have and are printing off the actual 2x3 hard cards. So whichever option you're looking at printing, but you just scan that Salamander barcode again a secondary time, and it will move that person off scene. So that's doing the movement through rapid tag. The other is through the track app. So I'm going to pull up the track app. Let me get my mirroring app in here. I apologize. Get all this. Get my mirroring app up, and I'll show you how to do it through the track app. Okay, so here is the track app. So here's my Summerfest event. So you have a couple ways you can do this. You can scan them, you can manually move them. You got your different options. So you see Sophia Jones, I've got her barcode up here. I can scan her into off scene through the track app. It's as simple as that. So instead of doing it through rapid tag. Okay, so where's my barcode again? Find my barcode. Okay, so here's my barcode. Let me just move this over. Okay, so here it is. All I'm doing is I'm going to tap the scan button, scan her barcode. It's going to tell me where do I want to move this person to. So if you want to scroll down, you can scroll down, especially if you have a lot of assignments, you can scroll, you can type up here, just type in OFF and you'll see off scene populate, or you can scroll down and select it. So all I'm going to do is going to move her off scene. Going to verify her ID. She's not found because this was printed through rapid tag. So I can allow. That's just our identity verification feature. And you'll see that she's been moved off scene. Okay. So that's one way to do it. The other way you can do it is you can move individual people off scene. So for example, I have this drone team. If the drone team, the whole collection is going off scene, I can tap the collection image. And you'll see when I do that, there is a move icon at the very top there. I can tap on that and I can do the exact same thing, tap off scene. So very simple. Okay. I can search for individual people if I want to. I can go in here. So for example, my collection, my boats collection, if I don't want to move the entire boat off scene, but just individuals within that boat team, I can tap on the name of that collection, which is going to pull me the details. And let's say I'm doing a shift change. So boat, the collection stays, but the individuals are changing shifts. So in this case, I can move all four people out. You see that I'm just tapping their picture. I'm leaving the equipment there. Okay. All I'm doing is I'm switching resources. I can move those resources off scene. Okay. And then I can go in there and add the new individuals. I can scan, so you'll see there's a scan button at the bottom, or I can manually download the people. Okay, so I can download people if I want to. I can go in there and search for whoever it is that's going to be taken over. So I'm just going to select these individuals right here that's taking over. Tap on the check mark, and now those are the four new people that have been added to this collection. Okay. So those are some options in there for you. Hopefully that answered your question, Alice, for how to move people off scene. You've got so many different ways. It just depends on what application you've deployed for your event.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have any other questions? Any other questions? Oh, Kara, question. Hi, Kara.
Hi. What about the tag ones where they're marking themselves on and off scene?
The tag app?
Yeah,
Yes, the tag app itself. So you're looking at cost, or you're looking at
both.
tracking, or both? Okay, so the tag app, again, the tag app requires that person to have a license, and it's still looking at their profile. So the tag app just uses their personnel record. So if their personnel record is up to date, it's going to use whatever rates in their record. So the moment that that person is checked into the event, it's going to start calculating at $30. And it's going to move them to that checked in assignment. So let me pull up my tag app on here. Let me log in real quick here so I can show you.
So would they be able to log into a specific position like you had
Not
just
today.
not
They
checked
will.
in?
We will. We will
Okay.
have that. There is a tag app update that's coming that allows them to select the assignments that you have available for them to select through the tag app. That's coming. But as of right now, the only option they have is checked in. So you'll see in here, here's the tag app right here. So you see this is my login. When I log in, so this is the login that you provided them, it automatically connects them to their profile. So in the security user section in Salamander Live, it requires you to link their personnel record to their security user profile. Okay, so I'm going to pull that up right here so you can see this. So when you go in here, it links them up. So look at my Salamander Trainer 2. There's this section right here. You see this linked record? That's what it's pulling. So it's saying if I use the tag app, it has to link to a record because it's required to use the tag app. So you see that my image and everything here matches up with my image in here. Okay. So in this case, when you're joining the event, all they're doing is they're saying, okay, which event am I looking at joining? You shouldn't have all these running right here. This is old events from like, I don't know, you can see here 2021. I haven't closed out yet. But here's the Summerfest event that I'm looking at joining. Once I tap in, it's going to say, how do I want to join? So there's that join button. It says, how do you want to join? Do you want to join in as yourself or as your collection? If they've created a collection down here, they're going to start joining in by their collection if they wanted to. Okay. So in this case, I just joined in by myself. My clock starts calculating. So it's looking at my individual rate that's in my record, and then it's going to start calculating that starting at 1:51 p.m. my cost reports. Now, when I'm in here, you'll see that I will populate in Salamander Live. So if I pull up Salamander Live on here for the event, I should see Salamander Trainer 2 populate in my Burndown as well as in my roster when it refreshes. Okay. So you'll see them in here. And I should also see myself in here. So you'll see here checked in. And when that refreshes, you'll see that there it is, 1 minute. So that's me. I turned off the map. If I was on the map on here, the map would show my location as well. Okay. So if I scroll down, there I am. Salamander Trainer 2 checked in at 1:51 p.m. And you'll see under the summary, there's a summary on here. I have it hidden, but you can go up to tiles. You can add your summary. Oh, maybe I do have my summary. My summary is probably all the way down. There it is, my summary. You see here, there's a code that tells you tag. T stands for tag. I'm sorry, apologize. T stands for track. G stands for tag. So you'll see here is a track user with the same and a tag user with the same. And normally you will not have multiple people with the same device username. That's just not how it works. But I'm logged into the same event using all my applications with the same user. That's why it's populating this. But R is rapid tag, T for track, G for tag app. So you can tell exactly who joined in with their tag app, who joined in with their track app.
If you
So
correct somebody and it doesn't show on this report that you were just looking at, how do you make sure that somebody else doesn't go in there and try to make the same correction?
if you click save to save that correction, it will show in the reports. So before anybody goes in and fixes anything off this roster, they should be looking at the report. So they should be going up here, pulling the report first, okay, and then double checking to make sure that no one else went in and fixed that. So if you both fixed it, you'll just have two timestamps, and if it's exactly the same, it won't do anything. Now, if you have a different time than what the other person placed in there, you're maybe off by a minute or two, it's going to log that in there. You'll see that someone else made that change. All that is logged through and available in this event log report. So it shows what everybody has done. Okay. So if you made a manual log change, it's going to show in this report that you did a manual log change, but someone else also did a manual log change for this. So I recommend that if you have two people that's going in here and fixing timestamps to kind of go down a list and separate that list out. So who's going to do whom. So you'll see in here, there's a manual log change right here. I made a manual change to 12:47 p.m. That means I added a timestamp in here for 12:47 p.m. And of course, this is a PDF file. If you did the Excel version, you can filter and sort better in the Excel version versus PDF. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. What other questions you guys have for me? This is great. I love this. Love all the questions that are coming through. I want to make sure that you guys are successful and are able to get the information you guys need. So please feel free to ask questions. If later after the call you run into a question, please feel free to email me. I'm going to provide my contact information up on the screen here. Reach out at any time. This is our 877 number. This is my email, training@salmonlife.com. So this is a shared email account, but you guys can email me there and call me at 877. This is our 24/7 support line. So there would be a technician or myself that would be answering those. All right, everybody. If there are no questions, oh, Kara, did you have another question? Your hand's still up.
Yeah, so
Yes.
with the equipment and stuff, if you're in an event and like say you're using consumables, so like you wanted to like a paper ring and you have it in your asset tracker, like that won't be captured so that you could like use it towards your event. You
Yes, you
know, like, oh, if
can.
we use
Yes.
paper.
Thank you for reminding me on that. I had that on my bullet point too, and I apologize. It's on my list. So yes, thank you for asking that, Kara. Yes, there is one more report that you can look up, and this is related to the asset management. So it looks at the moment that piece of equipment is assigned, okay, to a person using the inventory app. So this is if you have the inventory app. There is a report in here, and I didn't do it through the this event. I will look at this ladder truck one, okay? So I'm going to click this ladder truck one. So in here, there's report. You'll see in here, it's called inventory history report. This inventory history report is a cost report for your inventory items that were issued out for this particular event. In this case, this one's called ladder truck. Okay. So what you do is you go into that report and you'll see that this is going to show you a report for all issued items, whether they're consumable, non-consumable, they'll be placed in this report from the moment they're issued out and the moment they're returned. It stops that clock. Okay. So if they're not returned, they're still issued out. The clock is still running. It's still calculating cost for that. Okay. So here's the report. There's a bunch of this. This is a training I did. So there's a lot in here. Okay. So again, this is a CSV file. Nothing pretty about this report. Okay. And when it comes to the CSV file. So you're not going to have some nice formatting in here. But all you're going to do on here is you're going to scroll over. Oh, let me get rid of all this stuff at the bottom here. Okay. So all you're going to do is you're going to scroll through. Let me click. Okay. Over here, you'll see the event information. So who it was issued out to, the date it was issued out, the organization who it was issued by. So again, this is using the username of the person who issued it out. If it was returned, you'll see the return time. So in this case, it was just 2 minutes in this case for these individuals. Anything that still has an open, that means it's still out. So it's still calculating time. So this is from a couple days ago. So 7/12, today is 7/18. So it's been 6 days. Okay. If you scroll over, you're going to see the information over here. So it's going to tell you this information. So this right here, QRS, is consumable information. So if it's consumable information, you're going to see in here that there's going to be a cost and the total cost in here, okay? Now, if it's a non-consumable, you're going to see T, U, V, and W over here for reimbursement. Okay, so it's looking at the rate. So in this case, if there was no individual rate, it's going to use the default rate. So you'll see this is the $20 an hour. It's using default rate. You'll see here consumable is not going to have any rate information over here. You'll see that. No, no rates there. You'll see the total time and then the cost. So in this case, it's looking at 61 cents reimbursable for this because it was only in there for less than 2 minutes, right? So you'll see all this information in here. So you'll see 12 minutes, so on and so forth. So some of this stuff wasn't out there for too long, okay? And you'll see the total reimbursed for the time that we're part of that particular event.
So if something is completely consumed, how do you put that in there?
It's consumed because it's listed in here. So in this case, it's looking at it saying that 2 were consumed. Okay, so anything that is issued out when it's a consumable, it's automatically assumed as it's being consumed. And so it'll take the quantity that was issued, multiply it by how much it costs for that piece, that consumable item, and then the total, and then you get the total at the bottom here. Okay. Now, if there were items that were not consumed and they were put back into your inventory, you can look at a different report for that one there, because you'll see that there was a certain amount of items that were not consumed and were put back into your inventory after the event. So this is just looking at what was issued out during the event. Because everything is, once it's consumed, meaning issued out, it's automatically, as it takes it out of your inventory. And that's what you'll see here for numbers. Again, this stuff doesn't have, I mean, a lot of these records don't have cost information. If I did for a lot of this stuff, you would see total cost in here, but there's only a few items that have cost. So it just makes sense to make sure that you go in there and enter in all cost information for consumable and non-consumable piece of equipment. So you can see this rate, or the rates and the cost information on these reports. Any other questions on this report?
Thank you, Leah. That helps.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, this is related to a specific event. So if there are issuances that are not related to an event, there's other reports that you can look at. I know we're over our 2-hour or 1-hour limit here, so I'm going to quickly show you this. There's under the equipment side. So this is if you have asset management. There are other reports in here that can show you that information. So this is looking at issued fixed inventory. You'll see cost information there as well as any issued consumables. So if you're looking at how much we have consumed so far from the beginning of the year till today's date, you can go in here and look at an issued consumable inventory report for the first of the year to today's date. So you can do this if you need to do this quarterly or yearly. You know, again, you can run your report based off your date range. Okay. So this is what you've consumed since January 1st. So in this case, in my account. Okay. So then you'll see this report right here. So again, it's a CSV file, so nothing fancy with it, but it has all the information that you need in here. It tells you exactly who issued what and how many were issued. Okay. If it was part of an event, you'll see that in here. If it's not part of an event, you'll see there's no event name listed. Okay. And you'll see the cost information over here. Okay, so then you look at this. So again, this number is not accurate because there's a lot of this stuff that's missing cost information. So right now it's looking at 273,000, but that's not accurate because there's a lot of this stuff that's missing cost information. So it's a lot more than that. So again, your reports are only as good as what you put in for your data.
So if it's
So just
missing those cost numbers, does that mean that account didn't have a standard rate attached to it?
correct. Yep, that piece of equipment
Okay.
didn't have a standard rate that was entered in for that piece of equipment, whether that was a consumable or non-consumable. So this
Got it.
here doesn't use the account rate because this is issuing, so it doesn't use that account rate. It's using the cost rate. So this is a consumable.
Okay.
So remember, consumable in this
Yep.
case is looking at the cost rate, not the standard rate. So like for example, if I look at here, I'll just look at this one here. This is what it's looking at. Purchasing costs right here. Not
Okay. Yep.
this rate right here. It's looking at this rate. So consumable is always this cost rate. Non-consumable looks at both replacement, and then you're looking at mostly it's going to look at this reimbursement rate.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on cost? So thank you for that for Kara. I completely forgot about the inventory side, so thank you for reminding me. Anybody
You're
else?
welcome.
Anybody else with any other questions? All right. Well, thank you all so much for being on the call today and staying the extra 5 minutes with me. I really appreciate it. Again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to contact me afterwards, and I'd be happy to help you in answering any of the questions that you might have. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much. Take care, and hopefully I'll see you next week when I do this again, or I'll see you next month on our next call. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.